Okay, so in your opinion, what would you say made you start drinking?
My group of friends started drinking, and like they just kept continuing to do it, kept saying they had a good time, and eventually I kind of fell into their pattern.
Okay, that makes sense. Uh, but you seem to be like the buyer for a lot of minors, and that's kind of risky. So, would you do you have like a lot of concerns about being caught about that?
Yes, I have a lot of concerns. I think technically it's a felony, and I really don't want to get in trouble for any type of felony. Uh, it's something that could mess up like your whole life at a young age, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that's definitely a major concern, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you say that you would say that you drink pretty regularly, right? Not
Yeah.
like an alcoholic, but
Not an alcoholic, no. But I do drink frequently. Yes.
yeah. Um, now, uh, what's a situation in which you regretted your actions after drinking? Just like maybe like a story or something like that.
Um, food. One time I drank far too much, to say the least. I went to a party. Got a little rowdy. Long story short, there were some holes in the wall. Uh, Apparently, me and a kid got in a scuffle, and and it wasn't good. And I don't remember any of it. So you just wake up with this terrible feeling in your stomach of what happened, what did I do, and who knows, and how many people were mad.
No, you'd say that happens often, or is that kind of like going for once in a while thing?
It depends on the month, unfortunately. No, you know, um, I think people go through like a lot of different phases in their life, and I'm in the phase where I'm just trying to get all the party out before I graduate.
Yeah.
So my drinking's probably increased, and embarrassing things have increased this last semester. But when it comes down to it, like I've always been able to pull it together if need be.
Yeah. Uh, and like when you were younger, like I would consider you the leader of this group. So, um, did you have like an older friend that you kind of try and take after now, or not
I
really?
mean, I don't really like to follow in people's footsteps because I think I'm definitely my own person. But I mean, I've had plenty of people that were older that taught me like the ways of really just how to drink and how to act at parties, and
Right.
I'd say there's definitely some figures in my life that have led me to where I am as far as drinking goes.
Right. Um, Now, like I've always had the idea that when people drink too much, they were put to the side and kind of left to figure it themselves out. Like when they're say puking or different things like that. Um, but it seems like a lot of times here that people are at least somebody checks on them to make sure that that's like they're taken care of and that they're not end up in like a lot of trouble or in the hospital or anything like that. Do you like take pride in that or not really?
Yeah, I mean, I like to make sure that everybody's safe at the end of the day. I like to try and make sure that everybody's having a good time. Everybody knows how to have fun, cut loose, and if things get out of control, I'm always the person that is going to want to fix the problem and try to take care of the situation, no matter what it is. So,
Right.
safety first. Sometimes, like you gotta learn by doing. I think so.
Yeah. For-
So,
Oh. Now, when I was observing a few weeks ago, um, it seemed like people that kind of mooched alcohol or mooched different things like that off of people, it seemed to be like really frowned upon. Uh, but why don't? But I always wondered if it might be easier to all like put in together and share equally, or is it like just easier so that everybody knows like what's what and like that's their own thing and they don't just take advantage of other people? Is that kind of how that is, or?
yeah, it's definitely easier if everybody has their own thing. I mean, there's people that have incredibly high tolerances. They can drink 7 or 8 beers and
Yeah.
have no effect, and then there's someone that could drink a beer and be hammered drunk. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not fair if they go in equally on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always better to have your own stuff. To have like a decent party though, I feel like alcohol always has to be given out for free at some point.
Mm-hmm. Just even if it's just like little stuff, like say Jello
shots.
shots
Jello
like
shots are easy and get the party going. Everybody thinks there's so much alcohol in them, and there's so little. So people are grateful, and you barely spend any money on alcohol.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, have you had like many instances in which it seems like people maybe took things too far, like kind of like you explained earlier with your own instance in which?
Yeah, I say looking back on my apartment from last year, things went too far quite often. 2 doors got broken down. Our window ledge is broken. Somehow, like the handle on the stove ended up in the living room and the laundry room. Yeah, I mean, we just wake up and be like, oh, guess we made friends last night. There's this guy sleeping on the ground. So I think that went too far, and we put ourselves in bad positions. So
yeah, so you'd say that kind of a lot of your experiences last year in the apartment that you were in with the people was probably led to a lot of like your worst experiences drinking. Would you say?
I mean, like no matter what, like you personally are choosing to consume the alcohol, so like you can't blame others for your bad experience. I think like it was a situation I put myself in, and
right.
I take responsibility for my actions. I'm going to make mistakes, and when you consume alcohol, even more mistakes are going to follow. So, it's my fault at the end of the day.
Right.
The situation probably didn't help though.
Now you seem to have like a lot of people in your apartment a lot of times. Now, is it really hard to trust people not to, be overly destructive? I mean, I know that sometimes things happen and stuff like that, but
yeah, things get out of control. Typically, to make sure things don't get out of control, one of the hosts should stay pretty coherent. But, sometimes that doesn't happen, and that's pretty much when things get broke, really. I mean, you gotta hide the valuables and put away fragile things, and kind of just hope things aren't too bad at the end of the day. And it's alcohol. Adding alcohol into a group of people, things are probably going to be destructive.
You're right. That makes sense.
You have to expect things.
Now we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but would you say that you wish that someone else would be like old enough, I guess, to buy for minors and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you're doing something illegal, it's not good. I mean, it's illegal for a reason.
Yeah.
It's something I don't want to be part of, but it's again, it goes back to what I was saying about putting yourself in bad situations. I'm just putting myself in a bad situation. I'd rather someone else be in said bad situation than me.
Right. Now, when you guys kind of like throw a party or host a party, are you guys pretty strict about who you let in, or is it just kind of whoever comes in, as long as they're not too crazy, they're allowed in, basically?
It depends on the party. There's nights where we make sure that we know everybody that's in the apartment,
mm-hmm.
and then there's been a few nights where we kind of just had like a blowout party. It was pretty much anyone wants to come, and
mm-hmm.
then anyone can come in, and if they do start to cause a problem, they are asked to leave. And,
right.
That's that. So it just pretty much depends on what type of party you're looking to have.
Yeah. Now with drinking, obviously, as you said, things tend to get out of hand, and I'm sure a lot of tension and things like that can be caused at times. Have you guys ever had like a group of, or a member of like your group, kind of like a group of friends, basically, have to like leave and kind of like try to distance yourself from him or she?
Like you mean someone got a little too like wild for that? Yeah. Yeah, to say the least. Yeah, there's some kids that just need to become more mature and need to grow up at certain times, and they put themselves in situations that put others in bad situations, and
right.
That's when people need to be asked to leave.
Yeah,
basically.
That makes sense. Now, as a senior, like obviously you've met a lot of people over these like past few years and things like that, and you seem to have like a group of a solid group of a few people that you have over a lot. But I just wonder if like those core group of friends, do you think you guys will end up coming together to drink even after you graduate and things like that, or not really?
I mean, I think like, I mean, there's people that I'm close with, and then there's people that are strictly just friends that come to get drunk.
Yeah.
The ones that I'm close with, absolutely, I'll be continuing to get together with them over long periods of time. I hope. I mean, that's what friends are. But I mean, the people that are just there just to have a good time, no, absolutely not.
That makes sense. And lastly, many people, like in different research studies and things like that, consider like the drinking that happens at like your parties and different things like that. We consider like binge drinking. Do you agree with that, or not really, or does it just kind of like go on people's tolerance?
Well, I think I believe the DSM-4. I'm not sure what DSM-5 says, but I think 4 said that consuming 5 alcoholic drinks if you're male in a period of 2 hours or less is a binge drink. So, yeah, definitely a lot of binge drinking happens in college. What was the second part of the question?
Do you like you would say that you agree with that for sure? Or?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for diagnosing purposes, I think that there has to be a limit on what a binge drink is, and I mean, binge drinking isn't healthy.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's just kind of like a part.
It's
of
a problem,
college.
but it is a part of college. It's kind of how people learn to drink, quote
Right.
unquote. But yeah, I mean, it's probably not good.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I have for you. Thanks a lot for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.